Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of Fair Car Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing a 2006 Mustang Pony package. And as I'm a new channel, this is actually my personal car, and I'm going to try not to put my own bias in it because of course I love it. I'll be fair with it as my channel suggests. So here is the 2006 Mustang V6 Pony package. The difference between this and a standard V6 Mustang is the chrome bezeling on the grille, as well as two small fog lights, not as big as the GTs though. A better exhaust, however, it's not dual as in the 2011 and newer model V6 Mustangs. It also adds a few upgrades to the interior, such as the Ford My Color system, which allows you to change the color of the gauge cluster to any color you want. It also adds the bullet rims. These are in charcoal gray with red calibers, as you can probably tell in the video. I am recording this on my phone, so don't expect it to be in 4K. I would wish that these cars had dual exhaust stock, but it's a shame that they didn't come with that from the factory, but they did end up doing that in 2011, as I just said. But all in all, this is a pretty good looking car. I think the GT looks just a tad better than this, but this does actually look a lot better than the standard V6. Now, of course, this is on the low end of muscle cars, so let's not expect V8 horsepower. But from factory, the base model came 210 horsepower with, I think, 260 foot-pounds of torque, which is moderately good. It could be better. I know the GT makes 300 horsepower, I think 350 foot-pounds torque. However, the previous owner of this car did tune it up some, so it will be making about 290 is the estimate that I was given on this car. Now on to the interior. All Mustangs from this year have this weird little feature where when you open the door, the window rolls about 1/4 of the inch down, and then when you close it, it goes back up. It seems like a little thing, but they say it helps with the sealing. I don't really understand it because I've had previous Mustangs that didn't do that, and they sealed just fine, even when they were convertibles. But, you know, it's a little thing. As you can see, the interior is good looking. These little inserts right here were available in red, which is actually my preferred interior for this car. This one has cloth seats with Mustang embroidered on pretty much all of it. It also has the chrome dash, and this is actually aluminum, so it's not that cheap plastic that's on the base models. It does have the Ford My Color system. This one has an aftermarket radio, but it still puts out the stock 500 watt, which is from 2 subs and I think 4 or 6 other speakers. The driver's seat is a 3-way lumbar support. It can adjust forward and back. I think it can go up and down as well. The gear shift, this is actually, if you're thinking about getting in this car, this is probably the first thing that breaks on these, is the little plastic piece right here. Actually breaks when you push it back at one point, and as you can see, that's what happened to this car. So you can see all the guts of the gear shifter right here, but it's nothing more than a cosmetic thing, so it's not really that big a deal. This one has cruise control. It has the little digital, let me turn the car on so you can see this. It has a little digital display right here. It has ABS, which is a pretty good thing. Former models of Mustang V6s did not come with ABS or traction control. This is the year that they came out with both. And you can turn it off and simply press the button. Got your hazards. And this is your buttons for the My Color system, which changes the color of the gauge cluster to pretty much anything you want, or some default settings. It's got admittedly bad footroom in the back, but it has great visibility all around. Huge rear window, and these little quarter windows right here, you wouldn't think it when you first see the car, but they actually help with your visibility a lot when pulling onto the highway. This car has AC, can recirculate it, rear window defroster. Pretty much most of the things you could get on this model year besides navigation. Also, if you're interested in tuning these cars up, or really any Mustang, it's pretty well known that they are very, very tunable cars. There's plenty of mods out there for them. And that seems to be about it with the interior. Now on to the arguably the most important part of a car review, the driving part. Now, though this car is a single exhaust, I actually have to admit it sounds pretty good. And we'll just drive around and I'll let y'all listen. Pulls really nicely. I just got to 60 there. That seemed pretty quick. I've driven a lot of cars in my life, and for a V6, this seems very powerful. Granted, it's a little bit more power than the stock. Well, a lot more, about 80 horsepower more than a stock V6 Mustang. But really, that's a $400 investment on a handheld tuner, which isn't that much for 80 more horsepower, really. I don't know how many foot-pounds torque, though. But, I have to say the suspension is a little bit stiff, but this does have the GT's performance shocks and struts on it, so that's probably the reason. The ride quality is good. It seems to cushion up everything, just a bit too stiff to be a great daily driver. But if you're single or something, this would be a great daily driver. The gas mileage is not the best. I mean, it drinks regular. You'd have to get mid-grade or premium to really even say you have gas mileage. I know I'd estimate probably 19 combined is my little guesstimate right there. But the value, because these cars, they're actually worth a lot compared to some. And just a few years ago, they're worth a ton. And if you were to buy one, now's the prime time to buy one of these cars, because they're finally gotten a little bit cheaper, below the $10,000 mark. They used to be way more expensive. I'm like $15,000 just a few years ago for a used model with just 100,000 miles probably. It handles really good. I've driven this car a lot more than you're seeing right now, so I can pretty much tell you everything right off the bat. Safety, when it comes to safety, it has passenger and driver Generation 2 airbags, which is supposed to be really safe. This was, however, one of the cars that was recalled with that, I think, Takata airbag company. So you would have to get the airbags replaced if you want actually some peace of mind if you get in a wreck. This one has already been replaced, so I don't need to worry about that. If I'm correct, I think it also has curtain airbags, or maybe that was an optional equipment. Of course, it has a seat belt. What car doesn't these days? Pretty basic seat belt, however. But I have to say, as someone who drove some of the older model Mustangs, that didn't have ABS, you really appreciate it once you have it, because this car handles so much better under hard braking than the older Mustangs. As you can see, it's a little bumpy, especially that was a speed bump, but it is a little stiff. But if you're going fast, you're not paying attention to that. It handles amazing at speed. The electronics work great. I haven't read or heard anything about these cars being unreliable in that department, besides normal things like the windows not going up or down or something. What else we got to say about this car? I have to say, fun to drive. It's really fun to drive. I mean, come on. You're driving an American muscle car that looks like it came from the 60s. That's loud, even for a single exhaust. It handles great. Good performance. I mean, what more could you ask for besides four doors and good rear seats? But it's a muscle car. I wouldn't really expect that. I actually have a Charger, and I actually prefer this Mustang over that Charger, and that's a 2016 Charger. I actually think this pulls better than it, and that Charger's a V6 as well, and is rated at 292 horsepower, but it does not feel like it, especially with that 8-speed. This is a 5-speed automatic, and it shifts quite well, actually. Forgetting what I'm trying to say now, since my first episode. I'm not really sure what to do, honestly. Oh, practicality. Is this practical? For a single person? Probably. For a family? Not at all. It's not the least practical car in the world. Very far from that. Because you only have 2 doors. You have 4 seats, but the 2 are pretty much useless unless you're going to put a baby in them, because there is no leg room at all. There is, however, a good amount of cargo space in the trunk. Also, you have the little door inserts, a decently sized glove box, and a little armrest. This car did actually come from the factory 2007 onward with an aux port, so you don't have to worry about getting an aftermarket one, unless you have a 2006 or before, which is this case. They had to put an aftermarket radio in. But with that, I get Bluetooth, satellite radio, pretty much most of the modern amenities that you find in any brand new car. As I can say, the brakes are excellent. They're not truck-like at all. I know a lot of people like to complain about truck-like brakes, where you have to push them a long way down. No, these are instant. You press it a little bit, it comes to a stop. Very strong. I'd actually, if I was the kind of person who likes to go up at stoplights and drag race people, I'd be very confident in this car. Even if I almost got in a wreck. It stops. I feel very confident with the steering. There's a lot of peace of mind in this car. It's very fun, but at the same time very easy to drive. And a lot of cars really fail to hit that perfect mark. If you always listen to these reviews on Lamborghinis or something high-tech or high-end like that, you always hear, oh, this car performs amazing, everything about it's amazing, but is it fun to drive? No. Is it easy to drive? No. Yes, it can be fun, but it's the danger, it's kind of adrenaline. And I know for some people, that might be what you're looking for. For most people, however, that's not really something you want in your car. I personally, I don't mind a bit of challenge in my driving. I mean, I deal with a lot of stupid drivers every day on these roads, like that one. But, This car is extremely easy to drive. Definitely easier than the older Mustangs. This is a huge leap forward, especially in the styling department. I actually know one guy who said the 99 to 04s were the best looking cars ever made. I had to disagree with him there. I did think they looked good, but they're not my favorite. This, however, I'm going to go ahead and put out the score for it. I'd say this is a 9 in the styling department. Easily. This is probably... I'm trying to think if there are any other cars. No, I'd say this is probably... These Mustangs are the best looking cars of the 2000-2010 era. And I actually feel confident about saying that. Also, even if you like Mustangs or not, you have to thank this car. Because this started the retro styling, the modern retro revolution. Because of this car, we got the Camaro, we got the Challenger back. Sadly, the Mustang and the Camaro both kind of strayed away from those retro roots, but the Challenger's still going strong. As a matter of fact, we're coming out with the Dodge Demon, which I know that's going to have a lot of fanboys. Let's see, this guy can pass, I can get over. But yeah, even if you don't like this car, you do have to thank it. I know lots of people who say they hate Fords, they hate Mustangs, but there is something you have to appreciate in this car. And that, it's just fun. It makes you happy. Even if you're not driving it fast, even if you're just going slow, having a Sunday drive, really. A grandma could enjoy driving this car because it just embodies everything American muscle. And, but this car embodies pretty much everything about having a fun car. A fun car doesn't have to be fast. There's a Mazda Miata. They're not fast at all. All these pickup trucks you see people lifting up, they're not fast. But that doesn't... Being fast isn't necessarily what makes a car fun. And being fun to drive is what I think every car manufacturer should strive for. It seems to be all these cars nowadays are thinking about lap times at the Nürburgring or something, just numbers. They think about numbers nowadays. When they designed this car, I doubt they even thought in the least about lap times. I know a lot of people give you hate for that, but I'd say this is one of the most fun to drive cars ever made, especially used. And there goes a Camaro ZL1 right there. You probably heard that over the audio. Yeah, it does definitely drown out this, because that has that quad exhaust. But yeah, I'd say with the value, this thing is amazing. For, let's say, $8,000, you can get one with about 100,000 miles, which is good for its age, because this is an 11-year-old car, once you think about it. But 11 years old, it holds up great to this day. I mean, it definitely has the looks going for it. It doesn't have the gas mileage, admittedly, but it's got good performance. And if you have a base model Mustang that doesn't have any kind of modifications to it at all, you can easily and very cheaply just spend a little bit of your pocket change, you know, save a little bit every month, and you could get one of these cars eating Camaros and even GT Mustangs of this year for breakfast. That's pretty much my driving review of this car. It seems to be very well. There goes a Corvette. It seems to be very well balanced. It's nowhere near the fastest car in the world. I'm not gonna lie. If you or one of those people that want to drag race people, you will lose some drag races. But you can confidently say, but my car's funner. And that's what makes this Mustang beautiful. Because honestly, pretty much everybody who buys a Mustang, they're going to want the V8, they're going to want a Shelby. But if you don't have the money for it, or if you just pick up a used one, you might keep on telling yourself before you buy it, oh, I don't want a V6 because, oh, you know, the GTs and the, oh, wow, that Shelby GT 500. But once you buy it, you won't regret buying one of these cars. Because it's just awesome. Everything about it is just awesome.